What's up, everybody? Welcome to Going Through It. I am Kenichi. We're back from the holidays. Thanksgiving was amazing. I had an opportunity to spend it in Iowa with my husband's family. I hope you guys enjoyed your Thanksgiving. You ate a lot and didn't worry too much about your diet, I am here with someone special today, my friend Lillian.
Hello, everyone.
And you're the CEO of SavvyClickChick, right?
SavvyClick Marketing, and I am also called SavvyClickChick. So, yeah.
Tell them a little bit about that and where they can find you.
So you can find me across social media as SavvyClickChick. Savvy with two V's, that's spelled correctly. Everyone always misspells it. But I'm really all about inspiration and sharing tips on how to live your life abundantly. And it doesn't have to do with money. It really is more about your attitude and just small changes you can make to actually make your life feel rich and full. And I do talk a lot about fashion and tips on clothing, and I also talk about
fabulous, guys.
Lifestyle. So I do a lot of different things, but the goal is to inspire others, letting them know that, if I can do it, you can do it. Go on a limb and try something new, whether it's with your lipstick or your outfit or your hair, whether it's with your life. I tell a lot of true stories of my journey. I'm getting deeper and deeper into kind of true confessions to help people know that they're not alone, and that if I can kind of find my way out,
going through it.
Exactly. If I can find my way out and kind of going through it, so can you. So that's what I'm kind of all about.
So I actually struggled trying to figure out what we should talk to her about, because I feel like she's just fabulous in general. So many things that she can offer us and we can learn from, but we decided, sticking with the theme of confessing and everything like that, you're a little older than I am, and I'm a little older than some of our viewers. And what would you tell your younger self? Because we think we know it all, right? But you don't.
There are so many things, Kenichi, that I would tell my younger self.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Don't take it so seriously. And it's kind of weird, because I should tell myself that even now.
Yeah.
Because life happens, and when I was younger, I literally I kind of put myself in the box. I'm always kind of that girl who has a little checklist, who has a plan for her life.
Me too.
And you know how it is. It's like, that can be really good, but it can be really bad. It can be really bad, and it can limit you. And I think that for me and my personality, it limited me. It was a good thing in terms of helping me manifest things that I wanted to do, but it also kind of prohibited me from just living my life and just enjoying the moment and having fun. Yeah. And so that's another thing I would tell my younger self: have more fun. I guess that goes with not taking it so seriously. I just this is my stuff, but it's like, when it comes to relationships, I never dated. It's like I dated my first husband when I met him when I was 17 in the first week of college, and then I ended up marrying him.
I really advise against that. Having been that girl, I think you need to live life.
You do. Yeah. And that's what I mean. It's like, I literally was just like, you don't have sex with someone unless you're going to get married to them. And I mean, I had so many rules. And it's like, who said? Who says?
According to who?
According to whom? And exactly. And even if it were according to someone you really respected or whatever, you live your own life. You decide what your life is going to look like. And I am learning that the older I get, the more I'm embracing that and really trying to live in that spirit, because I could have had so much more fun. I could have had so many more experiences.
If I had just were open to it, I
would have been open to it. But I think a little bit of that has to do with maybe fear. And when you have a lot of checklists and a lot of rules for yourself, I think sometimes we have to dig deeper and think about, what am I scared of?
Yeah, so a lot of people think you're being proactive, right? This is why you're having the checklist, but it's more about control.
Exactly.
You're scared of the unknown. So it's like, if you plan it, then nothing can go out of order.
Right.
But it's all fear, you know?
And it's another thing with that control thing, is that you are not in control.
Nope.
And the more you try to hold on to that, the more crazy your life will actually be. So the sooner you can embrace the fact that, you know what, I can plan and I can be planful, that's all good. But if things shift, you have to kind of shift with it.
Yeah.
And you have to be nimble, and you don't have to keep forcing things. The biggest mistakes I've made in my life are because I just tried to force things to be the way they were in my head and the way I thought they should be.
So what happens when you can't check something off your list? How did you deal with that?
For me, if I can't check, when I couldn't check things off my list, they just carried over. So I didn't beat myself up because I didn't accomplish X within this certain amount of time. Literally, it was like it just stays on there, and then it's like I come up with a different date that I want to achieve it by, as opposed to having it just never happen. You know.
That's really good, because that's something that I struggled with. Like, I just turned 29 and I'm like, but
when was your birthday?
November 18th.
Ah, happy birthday, sweetie. Happy belated.
So I'm like, there's so many things that I wanted to do by 30 that's clearly not going to happen in a year, right? Just being realistic here. I'm like, what do I do? Like, do I create a whole new checklist? What do I do? So I'm struggling with that right now. And trying not to be like down about it.
Don't be down about it, because things do happen in their own time, in their own season. Because sometimes things shouldn't happen the way you think they should. Yeah. Because there is a plan that it just doesn't happen to necessarily be in alignment with your timing.
That is true. And if I think back to some of the things that I wanted, if I had gotten those things, it would not have been good. Exactly. You know, sometimes you don't know the things you actually need. You may want them, but you don't actually need them.
And think about the delay as just a delay and a learning thing. It's almost like, what is this teaching me to help me be even more ready when this happens?
That's true.
So it's like every experience leads to the next, and you take it with you, so that by the time it's like jobs in a way. It's like every job I've ever had, I look back and I'm in a job, and it's like it could be my dream job, and I'll look back and think, wow, I couldn't have been here if I hadn't done this, and I wouldn't have been there if I hadn't done that. Yeah. And it's like everything is like a little stepping stone, but you don't realize it when you're in the moment.
No. And also sometimes, because you're not doing that, you're not able to appreciate, live in the moment and just say yes, I'm doing something that I wanted to do. You know, this is good. Because you're always thinking about the next thing or checking off that list.
It's not about the checklist. It's about your life, and it's about the journey, and it's about experiencing, like you said, each moment as it comes and growing as you go. Yeah. That's what it's about. I still make checklists, don't get me wrong. I just have a different attitude about it now.
My goal is just to have guidelines, not set things, just guidelines and an end goal. Right. So let's just run through the different stages of life and the advice that you would give yourself or others in the different stages.
I'm like this wise guru on the different stages of life. Oh my God.
So let's start with high school. What would you tell yourself now about that high school? Because we do have some high schoolers.
Yeah. Gosh. Okay. So I have a niece who's in high school. So I will speak to her, to me through her in a way. And my advice for high schoolers is to know that high school doesn't last forever.
It does not.
It feels like it when you're in that moment, but every phase of your life, it's fleeting. And it's like, so you're in high school for 4 years, and when you're a freshman, everything is fresh and new, and you're scared. Think about how you felt when you were a freshman, and how you weren't sure if you're going to remember your locker combination or what class you're supposed to go here, and da-da-da. I don't even know if they have lockers anymore.
Yeah, they do.
My niece carries everything in that huge backpack. But when you're a freshman, you can't imagine what it's going to be like when you're a sophomore. And when you're a sophomore, you look back and you're like, oh, that was really nothing. Yeah. And that's how life is. And so you're going to look back after your senior year and the panic that you had, or the anxiety of fitting in or getting the grades or doing the things that you want to do or being the person you want to be doesn't end in high school. Mm-hmm. It's like it's a fleeting moment. Don't let it hold you down. Don't let it make you so upset that you think that the world will never change. High school is a small little world. The world is way bigger.
And it's going to be such a small percentage of your life once you continue living on. My advice would just be, if you're not fitting in, you don't have any friends, you're not the cool person, that's okay. You know why? Because you don't want to peak too soon. Yeah. Some of the people that I think of from school now that were like the it kids, they peaked in high school, you know? So you don't...
And it's kind of sad because they still talk about it. I know people, I mean, we both know people like that, where it's just like, you can be 35 or 45, 50, and they're still talking about how they were, you know, such a jock when they were in high school and all the girls loved them. And it's like, dude, that was a long time ago. what have you done lately? You know?
So don't worry about that at all. You will be fine. In terms of college,
that's the one where it's going back to have more fun. Yes. Have more fun. I wish that I had gone to more parties. I know, I mean, it sounds really crazy.
No,
because you're there to study.
That's how I felt,
but I literally, there are people who was roommates with who had a full college experience, had a blast. You know, I literally was kind of like, again, in that little box. I was very studious. Not that people should drink early or anything like that, but it's like, I didn't drink until I was 21 because I thought you'd go to jail. I mean, I was so naive about so many things. Yeah. And I would just be like, loosen up, honey. Loosen up. It's going to be okay. You are not, your world's not going to shatter if you go to this party. Yeah. It's like, come on.
I actually think that college isn't just for studying. Yeah. I think it's just about experiencing life. So join as many clubs as you can. It's not just about, like me, I was focused on getting all A's. And then I had nothing else going on. So you want to make sure you involve yourself in things outside of academics. So go to that party, you know, maybe stay up late to study. Of course, prioritize school because you're paying for paying for that. But make sure to have fun, you know, go out with that guy on that date.
Yes. Why not? Why not? Because it's also, I agree with you 100%, and I wish I knew that back then. College is about learning who you are. Yes. It's about learning what you like, what you don't like, who you are, who you want to be. And you do that by joining the clubs, dating guys that maybe you wouldn't have dated, hanging out with these folks that you might not have hung out with before. Just opening that window and exploring.
Especially that last part, like socializing with people different from yourself, because there's so much you can learn from people. And I think college is also the last time before real life hits. You know, and you have to really worry about bills and everything. You're stressed, like, oh my gosh, I have this test. But let me tell you, once college ends, real life definitely hits. So enjoy those 4 years.
Enjoy it. Yeah.
You still have like a month vacation.
I know. The only thing about being in school that I don't miss is that you always had something. So even if you were on Thanksgiving or Christmas break, there was something you should be reading, something you should be writing, something you should be studying for. That was the one thing about college that I don't really miss, because with work, so to a degree, you can come home and turn it off. Even if you have a high-powered position, it's not like you have things that are presentations and projects that are due and you have deadlines, but it's not like school, where I just always felt I never could stop. I could never take a little break, you know? So even when, I guess for summer we could. To a degree. Not you?
My focus was solely on school and just being on top. But there's more to life than academics,
You're multidimensional. Remember that. You have a creative side, you have a nerdy side, you have a sexy side, you have a boss side. There's so many facets of each of us. embrace that, learn that.
Yeah, don't box yourself
Yeah.
in at all. Where do we want to go next? Well, real life, I guess. The next step after college is real life. So it's balancing a relationship and going to work, rent.
Yeah. So I did everything really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what, so it's like, you know, I went to.
Well, how was that for you then? So you married the first guy, you said, that you dated.
So my first boyfriend my first real boyfriend was in college, and I met him that first week of college.
Wow.
And then we got married before I was even finished with college. I think I had another year. Don't. Just don't. So trust me. And it was kind of weird because I did an internship in New York, and it was at Essence Magazine, and it was awesome, and I loved it. And I was interning at Essence in their editorial department, and then I was working at Macy's in the shoe department after work. And
you worked at Macy's?
I worked at Macy's in the shoe department in New York City. It was wild. But it was such a great time. And I was considering at one point during that internship transferring from UCLA to Columbia because I was just like, I was loving it. And I was like, this could be interesting to have my life here and da da da. And but I was engaged. And so I think I must have told him or talked to him about it. He's like, well, if you stay in New York, the engagement is off. So you can either come back to Los Angeles or it's over. And it was kind of like this ultimatum. And I was I wasn't even 21. I must have been like 20. And I literally was just like, okay, I'll go back. And it was like, what?
But I think that's how women are raised for some reason. Because in my experience, men will never do that. They usually put their career and what they want first.
And you shouldn't.
We sacrifice so much for family, and oh man, that's
so that was my experience, and hopefully you guys will learn from that, because if the love is going to endure, it'll endure. And honestly, you love yourself first, and that is something that I think that we as women,
we don't.
We
put other people first.
It's always about other people, always, and I think that for me that's my default, and I think that for many women it's their default, because we're kind of, men don't, I don't know, they don't have that little thing, and lucky them, I guess.
Yeah, because they can live.
They just do whatever. They just be. They just be. So try to love yourself first. Don't even try. Love yourself first, and love yourself more. Okay. That's so imperative, because some people, it didn't click to me until maybe recently. Not only do I need to love myself first before I can love others, but I need to love myself more than everyone else. And I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a niece. I used to be a wife. I mean, but it's like, I never loved myself more. It was always someone else. Now everyone else comes secondary, and there's like and there's that little prioritization,
which is okay,
which is fine. Yeah. It's like you know, like there's my son, and of course there's God, and there's, you know, so then there's your mom and your dad and your all that stuff. But I come first.
Because you have to think about it this way: when you don't prioritize yourself for such a long period of time, resentment builds, right? So you might still feel like you have to make these sacrifices, but in your soul, you always have something missing, or sometimes a little bit of resentment for giving all of that up and not getting that in return.
Right.
You know?
Or you become, what was going on with me is you become numb, and people start to mistreat you, and you don't even acknowledge it. You just kind of, because if you love yourself first and you love yourself more, if someone mistreats you, you're like, you know what, I don't deserve that, and I didn't like this. And you don't have to be snippy about it, but it's important to stand up for yourself. But if you're not loving yourself more, you might just be dismissive of it and be like, oh, they're in a bad mood, or they didn't mean that, or da-da-da-da, and all these different excuses. And the next thing you know, it's not, for me, it wasn't so much resentment. It was just kind of a shutting down of my emotions, of if my feelings were hurt, or if I was angry, or if I was sad, it's like it just pushed it down, pushed it down, pushed it down.
But okay, so if you didn't push it down and you embraced those feelings, what feelings do you think you would have felt?
I would have felt, I think my feelings would have gotten hurt a lot more. And so for me, I think it was a protection because I didn't want to be hurt. But it would have been good to acknowledge, you know what? This guy's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
And if he says one more time that something mean about me, that's going to be it.
Yeah.
You know, or even or you know what? I don't like that he is just never puts me first, or doesn't, whatever it might be, or that she's always saying snide little things like, oh, your eyebrows are really cool, but one is off. Something stupid. I don't know. But it's like when people do that and you feel like your feelings are hurt, or even if you feel anger, you should acknowledge that feeling and be like, you know what? I don't want to hang out with her anymore.
And even call them out on it, because we teach people how to treat us, and we think like we're avoiding confrontation by not telling them how we feel, but that's actually telling them that it's okay to treat us like that.
And then it's awful.
Then they get used to it.
Exactly. And you just it's awful. It's awful. I love that though, but it's like, you're right. It's like what you put up with is what you'll get.
Yeah.
Remember that. It's a hard lesson, but you need to learn it. Everyone needs to learn it.
Okay, so next, like cutting off toxic people, not relationships, but like friends, you know? Do you still have the same friends from high school, college, or?
You know, it's funny. I think I'm in a chapter in my life where I'm actually revisiting certain friendships that were really old. Like my roommate from college, sophomore year in college. Yeah. You know, we've rekindled a friendship within the last like 5 years or so. And we hadn't been in touch for like, 20 years, maybe more?
Wow.
I don't know how long it's been. But but when it comes to my friendships, I am being more mindful. I'm being more mindful about everything in my life right now. But it is so important to surround yourself with positive people and like-minded people, and people who support you in a way that you feel is loving. Not in the way that they feel is loving. They might feel like criticizing you all the time as well. I'm just trying to build,
Speaking it's in to the way your love language.
Yes, yes. And so I am being more discriminating and discerning about who I spend my time with. And there are people who I love deeply and dearly, family and friends that I've known forever, who I am mindfully not spending as much time with.
Avoiding.
Because I know that it takes a lot of energy from me, and I know that I want my life to move in a certain direction, and a lot of that momentum can be influenced by the people you surround yourself with.
Indeed. But do you ever feel guilty? Because I struggle with that. I feel guilty a lot.
Guilt is such a useless feeling, but we all feel it all the time. So I don't feel as guilty as I used to, because I am That's really good. Embracing that whole love myself more, and starting to realize that what people will say is selfishness for women, or you're being selfish, or you being bitchy, or you being whatever. Exactly. They will never say it to a man. They never hear that kind of stuff. Guys don't. They don't really feel guilty about stuff. And I have a son, and my son's awesome. He's so great. He's a great young man. But dude, it's like, how do you go through your life and not feel like, God, I should have called my uncle. It was his birthday yesterday, and he sent me a card, and I didn't send him a card, and I'm like, it's like, you know what?
Up. Yeah, but they don't.
And it's like they're like, well, I'll get him next time. I'll get him next time. And it's like it's kind of a remarkable thing, and it's something that we could emulate a little bit more. And I wish that we could redefine the word selfish, because it's not selfishness. It's self-love. It's self-protection. It's promotion. It's everything. It's like, even if we are bragging on ourselves, even if it's rightfully so, because we did a great job and we won a promotion at work or whatever it might be, or you just won that scholarship or whatever. Women, it's like, oh, well, you know, it was such a team effort.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank everyone who did so much work. You have to own your the things that you do that are amazing. You have to embrace them, and you have to promote yourself. And you don't have to be a braggart, but you can be like, you know what, I did a pretty good job, and I'm really proud of what I just did. Yeah, you have to do that.
Always feel the need to downplay things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I'm getting rid of guilt. Mm-hmm. I am embracing my power and my voice, and embracing the things that I love about myself.
Yeah.
And moving forward in that direction. And that's not to say I don't fall backward and have moments where I'm just like, oh, blah, blah, blah. But I try to snap out of it because I see that the rest of my life is in front of me. I can't go back. I can learn from what my past was, but my future is going to be so much better.
Go back.
You can't.
So many of us, we dwell on the past, what could have, what should have,
right.
But you're here now. Yep. What's the future? Right. That's the only thing you have control of.
Right.
Well, not to a certain extent.
You have. It's moment to moment. It's really the only thing that's real is right now.
True.
It's the present, and that's what all these meditation people are talking about. It's literally the moment. And yeah, we can be planful. That doesn't mean that you just have to act like, you know, what's like YOLO, you know, you only live once and just do it all right now. It's literally, you can be mindful and you can be planful, but you don't really know if you even have tomorrow, not to be morbid. So
but it's
enjoy what you have right now. Enjoy what you know is real at this moment, you know?
So you mentioned your divorce, which I'm sure is something that you didn't see for your life. So what's the next step? And how is that for people going through it now? What advice, if any, do you have for them?
This is such a hard topic, Kanishi. It's just it's so, ugh. And I've been divorced twice, okay? So the first time, if you could probably guess, was the man I married in that first, you know, when I met him in college and married my first boyfriend. I just was way too young, and it just, I don't know. And didn't marry the right person for me because I didn't even know what and who I was and what I wanted. Especially too, because I never dated. And then now finalizing divorce with my second husband, where when I look at it, the biggest advice I would have to going through this process is, first and foremost, forgive them. I know it sounds crazy, and it's like you have so much anger and all of that, but you have to forgive them, and you have to forgive yourself, which is actually harder. At least for me, it was harder.
No, it is.
It's because I literally was like, oh, I can't believe I've kind of made the same mistake twice. Two different men, and very different in some ways, but very similar in other ways. What the hell was I thinking? How did I do this? What's wrong with me? Oh my God. How do I get myself here and so on? And you can spin. You can definitely spin and think that something's wrong with you.
And go down a rabbit hole. Yeah.
But you know what? You gotta pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and realize, I made a mistake. And maybe this was a mistake that took a long time to see, or maybe it impacted a lot of people. It's not even a mistake.
It's a lesson for, whatever, because you can't get back any of the time that you had in that marriage, right? So if you look at it as a mistake, I wouldn't say it's a mistake. It's just a lesson to be learned.
See, I'm struggling with that because my first marriage, I don't think was a mistake because my son came out of it, and I did learn a lot about myself and what I wanted, and it was good in that way, even though there were a lot of things dreadfully wrong with it, but it wasn't a mistake. Whereas my second marriage, and maybe it's because this is more raw and new, I literally don't see any good that came out of it. And so so it's like, it can be a lesson for learning to spot red flags,
Mm-hmm.
a lesson to not be in denial when things are, not to live your life with rose-colored glasses, a lesson to be more discriminating about the next person and so on. I do believe you either you win or you learn.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Mandela said that. But if I were to, I define a mistake as something I wouldn't repeat.
Okay.
And I would never repeat marrying that person again.
Mm-hmm.
I just, whatever lessons, I don't think I needed to learn them that way.
Got it. Okay.
So that's my own personal thing, because I see that as a mistake. And I see that as putting so much of my life in jeopardy in terms of my financial situation, my emotional well-being, and my sons and my families. And because you bring
Everyone
someone into your life,
uh-huh.
and everyone kind of embraces this person. And I feel like, wow, I kind of brought this pariah into my family. It's like infecting a family, someone you love with a disease knowingly. And of course it wasn't knowingly, but I regret that.
Okay. Well, I can accept that. When you put it like that, then okay.
But it is, I still have to forgive this person and realize, we're all broken. Some of us more than others. The beauty is that person's no longer in my life, and that makes me smile. And I know that I am better off because I've been able to wake up and say, you know what, you got to get out of my life because you're just this parasite. And
you're resilient.
And yes, and I'm resilient, and I know that I can build my life up again and be happier now, as opposed to hating him for being just who he is.
And I think it takes a lot of strength to say this is not working out, like a marriage, and walking away. Like, a lot of people think everyone is just getting divorced these days, but it takes courage, because you're always thinking, what are people going to say? Right. It's so much that goes into it. So I think it's very courageous of you to say, I just want to be happy.
I really appreciate that, because life is too short, and it's not something, I take marriage very seriously. I was married to my first husband for 10 years. I was married to my second husband for 15 years. Yeah. And trust me, it was way too long. But because I've been married before, and because I'm a person who likes to make it work, it's like I tried everything, and I was closing my eyes to what the truth was. And it's like, I should have done it a long time ago, but obviously I wasn't ready then. Yeah. So it took some time. And so I think that if you're going through something like this now, first of all, my heart goes out to you, because it's so hard. And I hope that you find the love for yourself to have the courage to end something that's not working well for you, but also the courage to forgive yourself and them so you can move on cleanly. And that you give yourself time to grieve, because it doesn't matter how awful the relationship was and how happy and free you are of the person. It's still a loss, and you have to acknowledge that. And the end of a relationship, there's a grieving process that goes with it, even if you do feel lighter, because you made that decision. So courage,
Yeah,
just courage.
And I think just remember to be gentle with yourself.
Yes, so
treat
important.
yourself like you would your best friend. Because some of the things that we tell ourselves, we would never say to someone else going through the same thing. Right. So having learned what you have previously from just living life, how are you going to move forward?
I'm going to move forward in love and in light and in positivity and in joy. That's my gift to myself. And how am I going to do that? Yeah. I'm going to do that by staying mindful and prayerful and grateful. Because even though I've had a lot of missteps, maybe that's better than mistakes.
Yeah, missteps.
I've made some missteps. I've grown through them, and I've learned through them, and I'm better at the end of the day. And I am grateful for that. I have a beautiful family. I have an amazing son. I have great parents and great friends. I have a wonderful home. I know how blessed I am.
Yeah.
And I know how blessed I am. And I recognize it and I acknowledge it every day.
And you can live in it now.
Exactly. And so that by being mindful of my blessings, I am able to be joyful, and I'm able to move forward in a positive way. The other way I'm going to do it is to do what we were talking about before. I'm going to love myself first. I'm going to love myself most. And that's a new feeling.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it feels a little bit like
foreign.
It's just, it's not exactly. It's not second nature. It's not my default. But I'm seeing myself as my younger self, like when I was like 6 years old. And by seeing myself as my little 6-year-old self, I am feeling motherly towards her.
Your inner child.
My inner child. And I'm really embracing that, and I'm embracing treating her with love and kindness, and knowing that that little girl deserves so much more. And when I think of it that way,
it makes it easy to love yourself.
It makes it easier, definitely. So I'm building my confidence and doing things in a different way, trying to get rid of my little boxes and checklists to a degree, and trying to just live in the moment.
What are 5 specific things, if you could think of them?
Yes, good questions. 5 specific things.
That you would do differently so that you don't go back to what is second nature. Because it's so easy for us to have this plan, like we're going to, change the way we do things, and we know it's the right thing. But then sometimes we just naturally fall back into our pattern, into our old habits. So what are 5 things that you're going to actively work on to do differently?
Oof, okay.
If you can even get to 5.
I think that one of the first things I need to do and continue to do, but do more of, is expand my network of friends, to make sure that I'm surrounding myself by friends, but by people who are like-minded and who truly do support me and grow me in a very positive way. Even if that means that I don't spend as much time with other people who've been in my life, and just knowing that that's okay. So I think that my inner circle needs to be refined. I think that the other thing I can do is to kind of that self-love thing, is continue to pray, go to church, meditate, exercise, eat right, sleep right, all of those things. You know, all of those things are, it's self-care. Like your self-care. Those, if I can continue doing that, I'm pretty good about it, because they do make me feel so good, and they do feed me. So I know that I need to definitely continue with that, because it works, that whole mindfulness and taking care of yourself spiritually, emotionally, and all that stuff, physically. Thirdly, what do I need to continue to do to make sure that I don't fall back? I think I need to not live in the past, but be reflective of
That's a good one.
What my lessons have taught me, and kind of have a discernment that lets me kind of see, I don't know how to say it, how to see things for what they really are, and not what I hope. It's like
taking off the veil.
Yes, yes, that's exactly it. It's literally removing those rose-colored glasses and not being afraid to see things as they are. And because at the end of the day, I don't have to accept it. It's like, if I know that you just wish ill upon me, and every time I turn around, you're sabotaging my job at work or whatever, then I can see that and be like, you know what? This is a woman that I don't want to spend any time with. And use that information in a useful way, as opposed to pretending, oh no, she didn't mean that.
Making excuses for the
or whatever.
Behavior.
It's like removing those glasses and knowing that in the situation of removing them, it doesn't mean that your whole world's gonna look gray and black and bleak. It just means that you do see clearly, and so you can make better choices. And if someone is this way, you can decide this. But if you don't even know, you're setting yourself up. So what is that, 3? Is that only 3? I have 2 more to go.
2 more.
Okay.
That's okay. How
well,
about
let me think. I think I want to, because I think this is a good challenge. I also want to explore more. You know, I want to have the courage and the fearlessness to do things.
So what does
and
that
try
mean?
things in a different way.
Traveling more, or
it
just like being a tourist in your own city? Okay.
It means traveling. It means meeting new people. It means dating. It means
dating is a whole new beast.
I know
today,
it is. It really is, and it's kind of terrifying and kind of weird and kind of. You know, well, for a person like me who likes checklists and all that kind of stuff, and it's really weird, but embracing it and just being like, you know what's the worst that's going to happen?
True. And also being mindful, because sometimes you get out of relationships and you go for the opposite of what you had. But the opposite is not always the best thing. So just trying to
find that balance.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you that way because it's funny. That's exactly what I did. I went from a guy that was, this really handsome, very hard work ethic, the hardest working person I've ever met, but a bit of a bully. Yeah. You know, not even a bit, just a controlling person. To someone who was all laid back, maybe not the most ambitious, maybe not the most good looking, but I thought he was just a real chill, nice guy. Yeah. I went from here to here.
So it's the extreme.
I mean, they were the opposites ostensibly, but at their core, they were kind of the same, you know, in terms of just not treating me well, you know? Yeah. And so that can happen. Oh, the other thing I'm going to continue to do is get counseling. So that helps me to perceive things. I can't believe I couldn't remember that or think of it.
So that's your 5 right
there. That's my 5.
Yeah.
I got the 5. Yay. Because you can't, even when you're doing everything right, you're praying and you have a great network of friends and you're grateful and you're this and you're that and you're all this. At the end of the day, we all need someone to talk to. We all need someone who can give us...
Not going to judge us. Because sometimes, or you just feel comfortable talking to, because a professional, you don't know them. They don't know you. You can open up a little bit better and they can give you like really good advice. Sometimes your friends, they don't always give the best advice.
Because they're too close. And they're just,
they have their feelings involved in it. Yeah. So that's good.
I am such a proponent of therapy and counseling. I have nothing but that's not to say that it's easy to find a good one. Yeah. So you may have to go trial and error to find the right one who actually works for you. But when you do, there's nothing like it.
And I think you did the work, like holding yourself accountable for the things that you didn't do. You know, like, okay, so maybe I stayed longer than I should have. And just those, because sometimes we can't understand the things that we did wrong in a situation and you tend to blame the person completely. Yeah. But sometimes that's why we can repeat those patterns.
And I refuse to do that. I'm so committed to having healthy romantic relationships, healthy relationships in general. And I'm so committed to having a happy, full life that I have to learn. I have to. Because I can't, it's like I've done this twice. This is more about relationships, but I've done it twice. I'm not doing it anymore.
And maybe now just enjoy dating for a while and just get to know yourself again, because you're different than you were 15 years ago when you first started dating, you know, your ex-husband. So just like you said, explore whatever that means. My last question for you. So you mentioned meeting new people and making new friends. What does that look like after college? Oh, wow. Because that's what I'm dealing with now. Like, how do you meet people if it's not at a workplace? If it's not at church.
Big one. Work is a big one. Church can be a big one if you really, really are very active. Work is the biggest one, but it's kind of like you take what you were giving the advice about with college, where you join organizations and you you volunteer, you do committees things. It's like you get yourself out. You do the things that are fun to you, or things that are just interesting and kind of enticing to you. Maybe you want to learn how to paint or something, or you want to write, take a class. The more you do, the more people you will meet, and the broader and bigger your world will become. And so that's something that I haven't done a lot of it. I need to figure out how do I actually meet more people in real life, you know? So as opposed to on Instagram or whatever. But by doing those things, I know that my world will get bigger.
I mean, nothing's wrong with meeting people on Instagram. I have met
good friends. We met on Instagram.
Well, we met in person, but we actually developed a relationship on Instagram. We met at not BeautyCon, Gem Beauty.
You're right. You're actually right. Okay. Huh. Okay.
But we followed each other. We didn't really speak at Gem Beauty. It was
That's
more
true.
on Instagram.
We just literally just kind of connected and followed each other, and that was it.
Yeah. So don't count social media out completely.
That's true. I love social media.
Well, yeah, that is. Any other advice?
Parting advice? You know, it's a journey. It's your life. Own it. Own your voice. Build the life that you want. You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. Just wishing you the best, you know. That's it, really.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and going through it with us.
This was so fun. Yes.
Yeah, tell them where they can find you again.
Remember, you can follow me at SavvyClickChick on Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and, I mean, everywhere. So I hope that you follow me. I hope that you share your stories with me and that we can build a relationship. I'm going to be sharing a lot more with you guys in the future, so stay tuned.
And remember, you can follow us at goingthrough_it, and we have an updated website. I'm so excited about that.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah, so now every single episode has a blog post to go along with it, and you can listen directly from there. So it is goingthroughitpodcast.com, and you can stream us on Spotify, Google Play, iTunes podcasts, Luminary. Everything will be in the description box below. So thank you for going through it with Kenichi. Come back next week to see what else I'm going through. Until next time, take care. Bye.
Bye.